Alright guys, now today we're gonna learn something a little bit different and a little bit tricky. So the name C++, where it came from was the increment and the decrement operators. So what is C++? It's a new language. It's the, like you say, it's came from the old language that was C. So what's unique in C++ is that something is written as, like, let's say we have these two variables. In Samsung there was initialized to 16, and in Apple, so in Apple is not initialized right now. So let's go ahead and initialize. We'll initialize Apple later, but for now we're gonna study the Samsung, or the increment, or the increment and the decrement operators. So before doing that, let's just set the Apple equals Samsung, so, and add a plus plus to it. So this is our the increment operator, not the decrement operator. So what if we just go ahead and see out another line of command. uh, so we have value of Apple, there is Apple, and value of Samsung, that is Samsung. So let's just go ahead and remove this plus plus line from here for now. So I remove the signs and go ahead and build and run. So it says that the value of Apple is 16 and the value of Samsung is 16. So to make it a more interesting, let's just close the program and let's just consider this number 16 as megapixels. So consider you have your next flagship, what it is, Note 7, I guess. So Samsung is launching its Note 7 and Apple is launching its iPhone 7. So let's say Apple Samsung says that it will be having 16 megapixels of camera, and let's say Apple with super iOS. So let's not forget that. So let's say to keep it simple, let's say Samsung will have 16 megapixels of camera, and Apple says in its next flagship that Apple will also have 16 megapixels of camera. So we have set Apple equals to Samsung equals Apple equals Samsung, so they both will have 16 megapixels of camera. But let's say Samsung is a bit like not telling the things correctly, and it's kind of like consider this Apple equals Samsung and forget this this plus plus sign, and let's just go and build and run this program. So now what do you see is the value of Apple is 16 and the value of Samsung is 17. So Samsung is kind of like hiding one whole megapixel. So it's not and that megapixel is right here. So Samsung is not telling that hey, I'm hiding 1 megapixel. So when it launches or releases the Note 7, so then people will know, hey, Samsung finally has 17 megapixels and Apple does not have that. So Apple is kind of like true, but Samsung is like playing a little bit monopoly over here right now. So no offense to Samsung, I love Samsung and Apple both. So I was just trying to make this example a bit more clear. So I love Samsung and Apple, both of them, and no offense to Samsung, but this is how this post increment operators. What is the post increment operator? So this plus plus is right in front of Samsung, so this is called post increment. And what if this plus plus was behind that? That would be pre increment. So let's just say that uh, let's just remove these and put these plus plus over here, so make it like a pre increment operator. And let's just close our existing program and build and run this again. So now you see Samsung is not hiding. Samsung is telling, hey, I have the 17 megapixel camera. So I have the 17 megapixel camera, but I'm not hiding. I'll show that my next flagship is gonna have, the Note 7 is gonna have 17 megapixels of camera. So this is kind of like explanation of the pre-increment and the post-increment operators. So this was just to explain that what it does. So if this is the increment operators is kind of like behind the S, so it is pre-increment, and if these plus plus signs is after that, after the G of Samsung, then it is post increment. So just to remember in your memory, kind of like remember, if the plus plus sign is over here, Samsung is mentioning that it has the 17 megapixel camera, one is added to it. And if these plus plus, let's say, are here, so Samsung is kind of hiding. So in the while loop, you'll know the exact function. This plus plus, the increment and the decrement operators kind of like work with the while loop. So then we'll probably understand the correct use of it. For just for the sake of remembering, just remember that if these plus plus signs are in front of it, so Samsung is hiding, and if these plus plus are behind the S, Samsung is kind of like showing, admitting that I have 1 megapixel added. uh, so this Samsung plus plus is equals, let's say, if you have, let's say Apple equals Apple plus 1. So then we have this cout command, the value of Apple is Apple, and then we go and close this program and run this program. So now what it was, the value of Samsung is 17 and the value of Apple is 17. So now you can see this, the value of Apple is now 17. So this Samsung plus plus is equal to this thing, Apple equals Apple plus 1, or you can say just this. So it's the shorter way of writing this, like plus plus sign. So this thing is kind of like equal to this thing. So I've also have the proof here, right here. If you see, both the values are 17 over here and 17 over here. When we see out Samsung, let's forget the Apple for now. Let's forget this thing right here. So let's just omit this line, and let's just build and run this again. And now you can see both the values are same. If we like do this, and then the value is 17 of Samsung, if we type in Samsung plus plus, and what if we type like Apple equals Apple plus 1, then the value of Apple is 17. So these pretty much two lines are the same.